Hello and welcome. Anyone who's been to Merchant City Yoga on a Sunday knows how much I love catching up with everyone over a cup of my freshly brewed spiced chai. These Sunday chai sessions really bring everyone together. A true celebration of friendship, community and connection. And as these COVID restrictions continue, I want to try and capture some of that magic and share it with you at home. So I've invited some familiar faces from our MCY family to chat with me online over a cuppa. I'm affectionately calling them the chai sessions. Pop the kettle on, get yourself comfy and come and join us. Thanks, Emma,
Hi.
for joining me for a wee cup of tea.
Oh, absolutely. I've got my matcha here. Yum, yum, yum.
And a bit of a chat. So for folk who don't know you, you teach Vinyasa Yoga on a Monday night at MCY, and what I had in mind for our chat today was maybe something about the ebb and flow, the ups and downs of practice and yoga. So my thinking kind of behind this was obviously the past year, everyone's been in a bit of a state of flux. There's been a lot of change going on. People are practicing at home when maybe they've never done that before. They're maybe practicing with a teacher that they've never practiced with before. They're maybe not practicing with a teacher at all. They're maybe finding that their practice is coming on leaps and bounds. Maybe finding that it seems to have gone backwards. I mean, just the other night there, I had a student say, oh my God, back bends a couple of weeks ago, they just felt so good, so comfortable, I could breathe. And now 2 weeks later, I feel like I'm back at square one. And I know for me personally as well, like I've been working with a shoulder tendinopathy now for about 18 months. Wow. And have gone from frustration to spitting the dummy altogether and everything in between, and trying to figure out a way to adapt my practice to work with it and to try and heal it as well. And so like I say, when I was trying to think of somebody to chat about all of these ups and downs with, you popped into my mind because just short of a year ago, you had a little baby. So yeah,
and here she is.
Yeah, which I'm sure. So having come from a really strong practice, a really dedicated practitioner, student and teacher, to manage your practice and your attention through pregnancy and then post baby arrival as well, not really knowing what's coming up next. So I thought you might be quite a good person to chat to about that.
I can definitely, I was thinking back about like this year and how everything has changed. And I mean, obviously, I think like a lot of people, the time like before the before times seem like a distant life. Like the idea of coming into Mysore like twice a week or, it's just crazy. And obviously the stuff that I was doing is just totally, and even actually while I was pregnant, that period of time feels completely foreign to me, even now. So yeah, it's like almost different seasons of practice and of life, and like I was doing completely different things at each of these times, and like ebb and flow, we have them on the macro scale and also on the micro scale, where like at the moment my practice is it's very responsive to like what's going on with life. Like I can't say that I have like every day I practice yoga for an hour, or like I do my daily meditation for how many minutes. Like I wish that would be possible. But instead it kind of is a lot more fluid, and kind of I do different things on different days depending on how much time I have and depending what the energy is, which is a really nice way to respond as well.
And is that a way that you've always managed your practice, or how difficult has it been to almost let go of the commitment that means you practice at this time for this long, you practice meditation, so has that been quite difficult for you?
Yeah, so even though I I'm an Ashtanga practitioner and I love Ashtanga so much, as you know. I was never the 6 day a week person. It's not for me. I really like the set structure of the sequences. However, doing the same thing every day, I would feel imprisoned, I guess, you know. So this is why I teach Vinyasa and practice Vinyasa as well, because it has this, there's a lot more possibilities, and you can do that responsive thing and like listen to your body and do this thing this day. And also Yin, which I also have now trained in, and I'm practicing more and more, like a lot of people. But like now, so yeah, I've always practiced that way, you know, to a certain extent, and now it's just like even more, because I don't have an hour and a half to 2 hours to do everything. I just do not have that time. I mean, I manage maybe a full primary plus all the faffing around and back bends and stuff, maybe once every 3 weeks if I'm lucky.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I like the fact that like I've got the Ashtanga there to fall back on, because if I just like, I don't know, and I've got half an hour, I'm going to do, you know, standing, and that'll be great. And that's really nice to have that basis there. But then like this morning, my practice was half on the mat and half like on the floor in the middle of the carpet, together with like her crawling on top of me. And that's great because I can still do things and get into my body and stuff. Like it has been hard, and because like people who practice yoga a whole bunch, you get used to how it supports you, and you get used to how good you feel when you're doing it. And so now almost like I've got this tapas, this kind of this spiritual discipline, which is actually learning how to be okay with not feeling good, with like being like, my lats are so tight or my hip hurts. And actually, you know, I did this mindfulness training in September, and one of the things we had to do was sit with sensation and not try to stretch, but just be like, I can feel, you know, tightness in my neck, and not be like, you know, and not do anything about it. And that is, so it's almost like by not practicing, I'm practicing even more, you know.
Yeah, and that is such a hard thing to do as well, because the kind of people that are attracted to a really strong physical practice, like, you know, we move and we use movement, I guess, to help support ourselves. So to feel that discomfort and not be able to move, to help some support or release, that's hard.
It's so hard. But then it means that like the smallest tidbit, the smallest like 5 minute, 10 minute, whatever you can do becomes so precious. And you're like, oh my God, I can stretch. Or often I do. My favorite posture lately is Janushirshasana, because it's really great for the low back and the lats. Like, and I do it while she's eating breakfast on the floor. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is so amazing. You know, I'm just like, or breathing. You know, I sit and I just, while I'm feeding her something, I just like breathe. I'm like, God, breath is great. And so it kind of, it opens up the practice in a whole new way, like a kind of multifaceted diamond from the inside out, where you're just like, oh, like these simplest things. When I was pregnant, I totally fell in love with Warrior One, because I was just doing, Warrior One has always been a really hard posture for me. My hips just don't do that thing, you know. And so starting to really work with like grounding the feet and just exploring the basics did so much to just, I don't know, open up the practice in a whole new way, where you're not running all the way to the end of the road for the next posture. Then you actually discover that in the place where you are, there's so much going on and so many layers.
Yeah, and I think as well, you don't really appreciate until you have to stop how much value you put in being able to do these difficult, complex things. And it's not quite that they define you, but you do place some value on yourself in being able to execute them.
I mean, I think it's really, because I read this really helpful book right when I got pregnant, was this Yoga Sadhana for Mothers, where they talk about their, like, it's like, if you don't know this book, it's like 50 different really well-known Ashtanga practitioners who talk about their experience of pregnancy and motherhood, and their
I recommend it to everybody who comes to the studio and tells me they're pregnant.
I would get it off my shelf, except it's in the other room, but it's very good. And so I kind of had this trust that my practice would come back. And I kind of I got really into like modifying. I don't really like the word modifying, just like exploring new ways of practice. And I really enjoyed practicing when I was pregnant, and I used it. It was a real tool for my well-being. You know, I didn't suffer from very many maladies. At one point, I had something going on with my back and my liver, but the practice kind of just totally was a way for me to feel good about that. And so it wasn't about you know, achieving big postures, and I was happy to kind of stay with that. And I have been really surprised at how it has come back without me, you know, because I do so much less than I would like to, and yet, you know, my body hasn't let me down. You know, from the Ashtanga perspective, but also other stuff. I mean, I don't know if it's like hormones that are in your body that make you bendier, but you know, certainly the strength has also come back, and that's also really nice, like, I guess, spiritual learning about trusting that you don't have to manhandle yourself into you know, into postures and into like achieving stuff. That basically, if you just kind of let things be, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, you know? I mean, again, it's almost like a bit of a cliche, isn't it? Probably because it's true, but such a hard thing to do is that whole letting go. Like, we can put in so much effort, we can try so hard, but usually there comes a point in whatever it is we're endeavouring to do or work towards that at some point we have to kind of back off, we have to let go. And that is the hardest part, because you think by letting go, by stopping, it's all just going to disappear. And you know that, even if it does disappear,
it's also fine.
What does it really matter?
Yeah. So I mean, it's very hard for me to imagine like coming to the studio at 6 a.m. You know, I can't, or even, you know, doing all day whatever. I can't really imagine what that's going to be like. But I guess, I mean, especially like for me, obviously lockdown has been, you know, equated totally with like pregnancy and maternity, because when lockdown hit, I was 7 months pregnant. And so the whole thing, I don't really know what lockdown would have been like without a baby. But I think for a lot of us, we've kind of gone through the same thing of just like letting go of what we thought and being like, maybe things will never be the same again, and maybe that's okay, and maybe, you know, I'll discover a new aspect of myself. I'm like, look at you, Judy, like you're like the most tech savvy person I know now. Like right before lockdown, you're like, oh my God, I have to take a picture. And you're like, now you've got like this most amazing Instagram branding and everything else. It's so impressive. So look at that. Like that's a real testament to transformation.
I know, because really, who would have thought? Because anybody who knew me before lockdown would be, but I think it's, I had to figure it out. You know, if I wanted to keep doing what I was doing, I had to figure out a way to do it. And I couldn't be the person that just went, oh my God, every time some tech issue came up. I had to be the person going, now hang on, now what is it? What can you see? What's happened? You know,
I had
I had to be that person. And I guess a little bit the same way with the shoulder as well. It's about not going, oh my God, I can't, it's hurt and I can't do what I used to be. It's like, okay, so hang on, so what can I do? How can I look at things differently? How can I work around? How can I adapt? And like you, I think a lot of the time it forces the question, well, what is it that I'm practicing? Like what am I practicing? And what am I practicing for? Like what, and if it's to look good in an Instagram shot of a really swanky posture, well, okay, I can't do that just now. But actually, I don't think that's what I'm
No.
because I never looked good in swanky Instagram shots anyway. So, you know, maybe just it's that in-breath, isn't it? When the tech kicks off and the internet drops and your mic doesn't work and students start dropping off or texting going, I can't get, and it's like being able just to go,
right,
okay.
Yeah.
And so the same when things and circumstances change, you go, okay.
Yeah. Something's going to break. Is it the situation's going to bend, or am I going to bend? Something's got to give. And so, you know, can we be bendy enough to bend to the situation? There's a slogan for you.
Yeah.
Quick. Yeah, right.
New marketing slogan.
Yeah, exactly. No, for sure. And it's really nice way of like looking at like what reality is. I mean, I was contemplating like discipline and like, you know, because when I returned to practice, my main practice was I was doing Ashtanga and I was coming to a Tuesday class, and I really loved that. And it was a really good way to get my strength back. And I was kind of contemplating like how I was gonna, because at that point, like she would just lie on the floor and be next to me while I was practicing, and now you put her down and she's at the other end of the apartment. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? So it has to be a little bit more. I can't manage that same thing anymore. But basically, it's like, what is the point of discipline when you have to live in the world at the end of the day, you know? And like yoga, like as one of my friends like to say, is just yoga, you know. It's there to make our lives richer. It's there to allow us to have, you know, I really understood what people say about how practice makes you a better parent, because it does. Like, it, you know, and it's not selfish to be able to take that half an hour or 1 hour to be on the mat, to breathe, to move, because then, you know, when you have to be up all night, or you have to be tidying, or somebody doesn't sleep, or you have the resilience to be calm and be loving, which is, you know, if we can do that, and it's not just babies and like that, if we can have that skill, that, you know, that those skills to be soft, no matter what's happening out there in the crazy world, then I guess it's all worth it. And, you know, sometimes I love fancy postures. Sometimes fancy postures can bring that about as well, because they can change your mind.
Yeah, they're fun. There's something to work towards. Huge sense of achievement when they come together.
I really think it changes your perspective, you know. Like, I remember the first time I ever dropped back, I was just like, oh my God, the idea of seeing the world from this different perspective, it kind of challenged my understanding of what is possible in the world, and like possible in my body. And now there's a couple of things I'm working on, which I kind of feel like I'm never going to get there. And
so tell us, Emma, what are they?
Oh, well, you know that I'm terrible at pressing up into a headstand, like, and I can feel it. Like, I can feel that moment where my body goes, and it's like, it's an emotional thing, totally. And similar is, you know, I've always fantasized about doing pincha, and I've maybe got there once or twice, and you know, I just need to. Because the thing is that the more you think of it as like a dream posture, the more it becomes like this far off ideal that you think you could never do.
Yeah, it's like a unicorn.
Completely. And so I just, although if you were a unicorn, pincha would be way easier because you could like balance on your horn, right? No, but yeah, so if you could just have a bit more kind of simple attitude to it, of like, here, what am I doing right now? Then it would be so much easier to kind of just get on with it, as opposed to kind of like these big clouds of, I can't remember why I started talking about this now.
The postures that
they change your
yeah.
So like, I can idealize it and be like, look, maybe one day when I get pincha, then the whole world will turn upside down, literally. But
and enlightenment will come.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Exactly. And then, you know, I'll get my real superpowers, and I'll be able to float, and I'll do all the motherhood, and it'll be really easy. I'll get my 6 arms, which
that'll come in handy.
Very much so. Yeah.
So
obviously that's not a thing, but I really do believe that you learn so much on the way there. And then if I can learn to stop idealizing things and learn to apply the same lessons that I'm learning with my motherhood to my, because it goes in both ways. That the lessons you learn on the mat apply in life, and the lessons you learn in life apply on the mat. If you can remember, then that will be really beautiful. But I guess it's all a work in progress, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's finding the balance as well, isn't it? Because we need a little bit of structure, discipline, desire, ambition.
Yeah.
To keep us moving forward, but then it's figuring out where that becomes too much. We could have a whole chat about pincha, because pincha's one of the postures that I just can't entertain. And I think it's particularly difficult for me because I spent so many years working towards it, and typically finally felt getting steady, hitting it most times.
Nice.
No drama. Shoulder gone.
Yeah.
Done. I'm very attached to pincha, Emma.
Oh, I'm sorry I brought it up.
I think because it all just shines a light on our attitude and how we're thinking and how we're approaching stuff.
And in the end of the day, that's the point, isn't it? Shining a light on things.
Yeah. And who cares whether I can do pincha or not?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you so much for having a wee blather and shooting the breeze with us. And if we've learned anything today, then it's maybe that old dogs can learn new tricks.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah. Thanks, Emma.
Awesome. See you soon.
Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our chat. If you've got any questions, you can email me or find us on social media. And until we can return to our Sunday chai sessions in the studio, I'll see you here next time.